Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice, the podcast for women who are done waiting for the one and ready to become the parent on their own damn terms. We're talking fertility, pregnancy, emotional chaos, and the village that it takes to raise a kid. Sometimes you're crying in the bathtub. Sometimes you're crying because your toddler bit you. And sometimes you cry because you chose all of this. Welcome to motherhood, solo style. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Choosing Chaos Solo Motherhood by Choice. I am your host, Laura. In today's episode, we're joined by Caroline, owner of Pathfinder Birth Works, for a thoughtful and empowering conversation about support during one of life's most transformative experiences, bringing a baby into the world. Caroline shares her heart for families and her passion for walking alongside mothers through pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum season. We dive into the powerful role a doula can play in this journey, offering emotional encouragement, physical comfort measures, evidence-based information, and steady, reassuring presence. From helping moms to feel more confident and informed during pregnancy, to advocating for their preferences in the delivery room, to providing compassionate care in those tender first few weeks of postpartum. Doulas can be a grounding force for both the mom and the baby. Whether you're expecting your first child or expanding your family, this conversation highlights how personalized, continuous support can be meaningful and make such a difference through the birth experience and beyond. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to Choosing Chaos.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's so nice to meet you. And I have invited Kristen to this conversation because Kristen actually introduced me to her doula, and there's a story there that we're going to get into pretty quickly. Oh, Kristen, you want to jump right in?
So Carolyn and I, as I do it, met, 20 years ago. I think I was in high school still, maybe. Yeah, I grew up in Vail, Colorado, a small ski resort that a lot of people have probably never heard of. I say that with the utmost sarcasm. Caroline was out there working in ski school. That's where we both met. And she became like my big sister, basically. And so we've stayed connected. Like we go through times where we like don't talk at all, and then you find those times again. It's like no time at all has passed. As we think about like the resources that have been helpful, like Caroline was, we'll get into the doula conversation, but she's not a solo mom. She has an incredible partner. He's super cool. And I guess I love him too. But I thought that her experience as a mom and as a doula would be like incredibly powerful for like the people who listen to this, because she's like proof that your village doesn't also have to be solo moms. Your village is who you make it, even if they're far away and your doula is in West Virginia. Like that sounds crazy, but somehow it worked, and it worked really well.
So you had reached out to Caroline when you were pregnant because you knew that she was a doula, right?
So it all kind of happened at like the same time. She like announced that she was a doula, and I was like newly pregnant. And so I was like, hey, by the way, this is not common knowledge, but like, let's talk. To expand on that part of like, I knew I was going to have twins. Like she's someone that I trust. Right. And I knew it was far. So it was kind of the conversation of like, can we make this work? At that point, I don't know that I knew I was going to have a C-section, or even if I was having twins. I don't remember. Do you, Caroline?
We had a date, right? Like I think we knew it was going to be a C-section. Well, I don't know. I can't remember the timeline, but yes, eventually we knew it was scheduled, right? Like we did virtual, the prep, all those pieces can be done really well virtually. And it's again, easy when it's a longtime friend and bratty little sister, if you want to talk about it. No,
Hey.
I'm just kidding. Right. But yeah,
The truth comes out.
Right. No, Kristen's good fun. But we had a date. So I had, we had flights, we had everything sort of organized, what that would look like. Birth, as birth always goes, it's on its own timeline. Yeah. So I think, 3 a.m. my time, maybe 5 a.m. my time, 3 a.m. your time is when she's like, hey, it's kind of happening right this moment. And we were pretty early. Remind me, Kristen, at least a few weeks early.
34 weeks, yeah. So,
from
and
the
then 2 weeks,
induction or
2.5 weeks from
C-section.
when you were scheduled to come out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So do they try to make it to 37 weeks with twins, or is it 36 weeks?
36 weeks was my goal.
Okay.
I think between 36 and 37, both of my
Okay.
twins were growth restricted. So at that point, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, we don't really need to keep them in if they're not going to keep growing, but also every day you can keep them in is beneficial.
Benefit. Yeah.
Um, but I think again, like knowing my pregnancy wasn't complicated, but there was just a lot of factors going into it.
Yeah.
And Caroline has been through like a complicated pregnancy, both like her own and or complicated
Oh.
births, I should say. And then like as a doula, I was able to sort of mentally prepare for some of that because she gave me like so much advice on like
Mhm.
here are the things that you should have an opinion about and other stuff that's like it'll happen or maybe not. I think that was really helpful is being able to talk through that at a personal level versus just like this person that I've hired. Here's what you want to hear.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
not that.
exactly. It's a whole different conversation when it's more personal. Sorry, Caroline, you were going to say?
no, that's fine. And you're right. And that's what kind of makes a doula so unique is even though it is someone you're hiring, in some instances, someone you may only talk to a couple of times before hiring them, and then they're sitting there at your birth, legs open,
Legs
the whole
wide open.
shebang.
Yeah,
Um,
everything's there.
right. But that's the whole point is,
Yeah.
a doula is there for mom.
Yeah.
Doula's not there for baby, right? Like doula's there to ensure mom has the experience that they need to be healthy and safe, but also the experience they want to have in terms of this life-changing event, right? So yeah, in this instance, Kristen and I were able to kind of cut through some of that and just go, I know who she is, I know what's going to, what makes her tick, and what some of those worry points were. Even in hiring a doula you've never met before, standing next to your bed as you give birth, all of the statistics show better birth outcomes medically and
Oh,
like experientially.
okay.
Just having a doula in the room, I don't even have to know your last name. I am going to help you have a better birth experience by
Yeah.
being there. And that's kind of
Hmm.
the amazing thing that doulas are, that they give, that this
Right.
hidden secret, right?
Mhm.
Like it's kind of insane how much doula can help in those situations and how few people
Right.
are aware of that.
I
So
really wish that I had met you 15 months ago because
right.
my labor and delivery was not the best. And so I could have used somebody throughout
Sure.
that process to be more of an advocate for me.
I do lots of home births, so that's a whole
Mhm.
different discussion for a whole nother day.
Yeah, we can have ongoing conversations about this.
Right? We have enough time for all that, but
Yeah, you're a
yeah, I
return guest
mean,
at this point.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Women in healthcare and how healthcare is not built for women and all of that jazz.
Yeah.
Basically, just have me on for a week. We can
Okay.
chat
Yeah.
forever. No,
Sign you
but
up.
Don't tempt her.
there's
She'll hold you to it, Caroline.
That's
This
okay.
is
I'll
why
do
I'm
it.
here.
I
We'll
will
have a
nerd
series.
out slash soapbox for you any day. There's so kind of how I think it's really helpful to know kind of how I landed here.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say we
And
skipped over that entire part, so let's like go back
Sorry.
to that.
all good,
That was
all
That's
my
good.
okay.
fault.
That was a good intro.
Well, and you is perfect segue, right? I have two children. My daughter was born in January 2021. Like, could not be more of a COVID baby, right? Like right there at the
Right
peak.
in it. Yeah.
Which is kind of a side note, which is always fun to say, like, that's not the big part of this story. But I had a very normal pregnancy beyond the COVID thing. But a couple days before I was scheduled to give birth, my partner came up COVID positive. He works in healthcare. I subsequently came up positive. He had gone away in the meantime. My mother was there taking care of me. I was about 10 days late. I was determined, right, for him to get back and, all the whole thing. Anyway, my daughter is born, rural hospital. All things are great until they're not. About an hour later, she's taken by emergency transport to Charleston, so our
Oh,
state capital, the closest NICU. It's about an hour away from where I gave birth. A couple hours later, she was then taken to UPMC Children's.
yeah.
So out of state. She was born with an undiagnosed congenital heart defect, transposition of the great arteries, which is very, very complicated, but enough to say it was life threatening. So she had to
Wow.
get to a children's hospital
Pretty quickly.
immediately.
Yeah.
And at 11 days old, she had open heart surgery up there at Children's, which shout out to UPMC Children's Hospital.
I will
Fantastic,
say that, yes. Children's Hospital
fantastic
is
hospital.
amazing. Mhm.
Children's hospitals, period. I mean,
Yeah.
Kristen can speak to this too. Children's hospitals are just made of the right people and the right
Yes.
stuff, and they're able to just do amazing things. But that whole experience, I will say she's turning 5 in January. She's doing fantastic. She has no
Yay!
outstanding medical needs beyond just kind of the annual
He's so
checkup
cool.
with the cardiologist. Yeah. We are thankful that we can go long periods of time forgetting that she is anything other than a perfectly healthy, normal child. So,
Yeah, but what a scary time as a
it
mom.
was,
Yeah,
it was. And, so many layers of fear that you wouldn't think of. We're out of state, so we're staying in random places, and then the Ronald McDonald House, which again,
yeah.
shout out to Ronald McDonald. But what we're learning, as far as none of this was on our radar.
Mhm.
Usually these are caught 20-week anatomy scan. So
Yeah,
women have months to prepare. You have a baby at McGee who can then take baby a couple of miles and they're there. We had none of that. But just processing things like I ended up not being able to breastfeed her because of her health conditions. I don't have my pump with me. I'm dealing with insurance from out of state. I'm all of the things. I'm being told dozens and dozens of terms that make no sense to me. And I'm just trying to understand becoming a mother for the first time, right? Like
yeah.
there's
Welcome to
nowhere in
motherhood,
all of this,
right?
right? Brandon and I had no support. It's to keep baby
Yeah,
healthy, it's to keep baby alive, which is vital. Don't get me wrong. But
right.
there was nobody there saying, "How are you
For
doing?"
mom. Mhm.
Checking in. I had all the things, the mastitis, I had thrush, I had all the things because I'm not taking care of me because I don't know how to take care of me. I've just had a
Right.
child for the first time.
And you don't know until
So,
you're kind of, like, thrown into it, like, what to do
oh,
at
for
all.
sure.
You
For
can prepare
sure.
and take all the classes, and you're still like, "What the hell am I doing?"
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And coming out of that, and, definitely a complex situation, but so many layers thinking, why on earth is there no one for a mother? Why is there no one for a mother? And part of my trauma experience, part of my sort of healing in that was is information, is learning more. And West Virginia has this fantastic program, the West Virginia Perinatal Partnership. It's a state funded organization. They put on trainings for doulas for free. I initially started saying, I want to do this just for my own sort of healing, just to be a little bit more aware, right?
Yeah,
Just my sort of daytime work is in advocacy, healthcare advocacy, policy. So I thought, if nothing else, I'll learn more and I can put this to use there. But I fell in love with it. I found my passion, right? Like I'm what at that point 37 or so, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I was meant to do. Which Kristen laughs. I beyond like if you had met me, I don't know, 6 years ago, I would have said I'm never having children. Children are a lot of work. They're annoying as all get out. Like I only like my children, my nieces and nephews, like the whole thing, right? Um,
I mean, still all facts.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
well, and
Yeah.
that's the fun thing, right? A doula is for mom, not for
right,
baby, not for
right, yeah.
no. Um, but
And now
yeah,
she
it
has two
just
kids, just to
yes,
throw
I have
that
two
out
kids
there.
now. And I,
One wasn't enough.
like my kids, like 22 hours of the day, right? I like have a break,
Yeah. Those
but
moments they have
no,
the tantrums, it's like, "Nah, this isn't my kid. Somebody else can take care of
right?
this."
Oh no, no, it's kids screaming in a restaurant.
Oh
That's
gosh.
that's not
Yeah.
fun.
Somebody dropped this
Um,
kid at the table, it's not mine.
all the fun things,
Right.
but yeah, it landed me here, and I'm fiercely interested in avoiding anyone feeling the way that I felt. And it doesn't require a children's hospital and life flight. It doesn't. The absolute normal pregnancy with the absolute normal birth, for whatever normal means, those women need support too. They need
Yeah.
someone there helping in all the different ways. While I hope to help complex birth and complex birth parents because of all the things that comes with, especially here in rural US, helping any mother that I can, any birthing person that I can. I'm
Yeah.
so on board. It's something that especially for mothers who are doing it on their own, right? For solo
Mhm.
parents. Um not only do they not have that particular partner per se, Like they have their village, but maybe not that particular partner is that addition, but a doula can be that person and the specific sort of focus on mom support that doulas are. So
I think too
yeah.
that it's important because not only do we not have that partner, some women that I've had conversations with, and also women in our Facebook group, don't have that person that they feel comfortable having in the room with them. Like they have a strained relationship with family members, or they don't have really good, close friends that they would invite in. So having an advocate there, and a doula is a really big person to have in the room. And from an advocacy perspective, that's why it's really important that we continue to promote that as well as an
Absolutely.
additional benefit.
Absolutely. Doulas are not medical professionals. I have no medical background. Isn't required. A doula is really someone who's there to hear mom, to
Yeah.
help her process, and then to support her in her own abilities, right? Like a doula is not an advocate in sense that if there's something going wrong, I'm not going to speak on behalf of that mother. The
Yeah.
mother has enough people around her speaking over her, on her, about her, but I'm going to teach her how to advocate.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach her how to make informed decisions. I'm going to
Right.
teach her how to say, wait a second, I need a moment to
Hmm.
step back and then have others help with that information processing and decision making, which are, again, a lot of skills that a lot of women either don't get or throughout life are taught they're not supposed to have. You have someone come into a room and say, we have to do this. You need Pitocin. I know you didn't want Pitocin. You're going to have an emergency C-section. You have to have constant monitoring, so you can't get up out of your bed. And you're thinking, all I ever wanted to do was not give birth on my back, not be stuck to a bed for 15 hours, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
They're saying things with not or can't or won't. And
Hmm.
usually that's not the case.
But to like sort of thread my story through like what Caroline's talking about is she wasn't obviously physically present for my birth because they came so early. And my best friend, who was like adamant, she's like, I love you, but I'm not going to be there. I don't want to see your insides. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get that. Like, I candidly, she doesn't want kids, but if you did, like, I don't want to be in the room either. Like, again, love you, but no. But when it was like, Caroline's not here, my parents were like, nobody was ready. And I was like, hey,
Right.
headed to the hospital. She's like, okay, cool. I'll see you there in like 20. And I was like, no, you don't have to. It's fine. Showed up. And the whole time, she's like on the phone, not like on the phone physically with Caroline, but like, she's like, here's Kristen's birth preferences, right? Like, so she kind of knew because Caroline and I had talked about that. We can sort of maybe dive into that after this little anecdote here. But like
Yeah.
they were aligned, and Caroline was like checking in throughout the day of like, is this going in this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, so even though she wasn't physically there, she was still making sure that like the decisions that I had made, which at that point, like I was having a C-section, I had a breech baby, one of them, like a vaginal birth, and all of those decisions of like giving birth on my back or having Pitocin, like those weren't decisions that I needed to make. But some of the other ones about like should they get sugar water or donated milk until your milk comes in, things like that, like are they asking you these questions because they're preferences that you have, and like making sure that you're advocating. And same thing, because we were in a teaching hospital, there was a million and one people because advanced maternal age and IUI twins and all of this stuff, right?
I
Like,
hate that term. I hate that term.
I
I
know,
Yeah.
me
hate
too.
that term.
I'm a
Yeah.
60-year-old pushing out a baby.
Yeah. I was 35. Like, come on. I had a woman in the airport the other day tell me I'm so young to be a parent. And I looked at her and I was like, how old do you think I am? She was like, I don't
But
know. And I
thank
was like,
you.
I'm 36,
Right?
but thanks. Like,
Right.
Right.
but yeah, so like just I was mentally prepared for a lot of the questions, or not even so like they things that they didn't ask, right? And
Yeah.
making sure that Caroline had prepped me basically. Again, it happened much faster than any of us expected, but she prepared me for what to expect. And knowing that the likelihood my kids were going to be in the NICU because they were small, of like she had been
Yeah.
through that. Like mine didn't have to go anywhere. They went down the hall. They weren't flight for life anywhere, things like that. So again, different experience, but because she had had that experience, like could
She could
help
help you.
me baseline like the chaos of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
setting expectations, right? Like Sometimes we don't know the answers we have to, or the decisions we have to make, but we talked about, if we land in the cesarean section bucket, how are we going to feel about that adjustment in our birth plan, right?
Yeah.
Like managing those expectations up front and talking through some of those things allowed Kristen just the wherewithal to say, give me a second, I need to think on this. Or
Yeah.
I'm not sure that that's the only option. Can you tell me more?
Yeah.
Asking questions until you understand, right? Some of those skills are invaluable regardless of what comes at you. And she was able to really put that in motion. And her bestie who was there, which by the way, she's an amazing doula, and I'm like, come on, let's get you going. And she's like, nope, this is my one and done. But
She
yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
want to see other people's insides.
no, she wasn't having it. But yeah, there was so much that and even right, like talking about the NICU, different situation, but we created time and space for Kristen to have thoughts and opinions and feelings about it.
Right.
Which
Because you
again,
need to. You need to feel
yes,
that. Mm-hmm.
you do. And processing that can help a great deal, especially in a moment where your hormones are insane. You haven't slept, right? Sleep is one of the biggest precursors
What
to
is
mental
sleep?
breakdown
Yeah.
in any human. Not eating right, still dealing with the reality that babies showed up before they were supposed to, right? Kristen's like, I don't even have X, Y, and Z. Like, we'll figure that out later. But, your
Mm-hmm.
brain has nowhere to go. And everyone in the room saying,
Right.
oh, honey, but your baby, they're fine. Oh, but at least baby's gonna be okay.
But
You
what
know,
about me
you,
and my emotions and my
right.
feelings and all the things? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And you sit there and you go, I'm overwhelmed and I'm losing my mind and I'm tired, but at least baby's okay. At least baby's okay and baby is okay. But in 6 to 10 weeks or months or years, you're going to lose your ever living mind because you haven't sat with yourself and your feelings and processed kind of what has happened to you. It's so important. It's so important.
Would you consider that as like a way of processing grief too? Because you expected one plan when you were going into that hospital. And I mean, Kristen's situation is a little bit differently, right? Because her plan just changed like very quickly.
Yeah.
And a lot of women do have that experience too, where it's you go in with one idea, your birth plan is just thrown out the door very quickly, or you're in the
Right.
middle of a 2-hour pushing session and they're like, okay, you need to make a decision now. It is a way of processing. I would call it grief, and maybe that's the wrong word to use, but you have to go through emotions and decisions very quickly in that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it can't always be managed either ahead of time or in the
Mm-mm.
moment. I'm working on a training at the moment, finish the training, need to get the certification finished, but it's postpartum mood and anxiety disorder, which is really broadening sort of the PPD space. The cool thing about PMAD, postpartum mood and anxiety disorder, is one, it envelops all the things, right? Like we don't talk about postpartum OCD enough. It's a real thing. We don't talk about kind of if you don't have clinical PPD, you can still have other things happening emotionally, mentally. And those things can affect baby and your own health.
Yeah.
But PMAD also includes partners, and that can be mom, like grandma. That can count a roommate, like maybe someone who isn't dad or mom or whomever. It includes the people around the
Yeah.
birth, and so that really allows for people to, one, understand it's real, two, that there are resources out there, and again, just making the time and space for them to articulate that. Is it grief? Is it frustration? Is it a letdown? Is it resentment? Is it trauma?
Yeah.
How would you describe what you've gone through? And in some cases, I don't want to speak for Kristen, but maybe it was more feeling let down or disappointed that she couldn't have the birth experience. Maybe it was full blown trauma because she's there without the people she had planned on being there, right? And she's mad as hell at them. She's mad at hell at the world, whatever it might be. Creating that space, allowing for that conversation, validating those feelings. It's not the end all be all, but it's a piece that is so often missed and will find its way to the surface
Mhm.
probably when you don't have the time and capacity and resources to manage it. A huge part of the prep, the labor and delivery, and the postpartum really should be helping a mother understand what she's going through and creating space that she feels comfortable to express it, for sure.
Yeah. When it comes to the birth preferences or the birth plan, what do you recommend to women who are getting ready to prepare for birth. We know that skin to skin is a big thing. We know the delayed cord
Sure.
clamping, and most hospitals do that anyway. Not all, but most. So what other conversations or questions do you have for mom as she's preparing?
Sure. Yeah. So, first and foremost, I say everyone should have a birth plan. Even if that piece of paper that you hand to the nurse says, do whatever you think is best, right?
Yeah.
That decision was made. So, birth planning, I don't think anyone should ever go. I don't even think someone on their seventh birth should go on their own without a birth plan. Write it down, have something in place. You name some of the common ones, but things like, can I eat? It's really important to me that I be able to eat while I'm in active labor. And you'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many hospitals still will not allow you to do that.
I wasn't
Um,
allowed to.
right.
Yeah.
Still at no medical need, but it is historically one of the things. And so hospitals follow through with it. Being able to move around. Intermittent heart monitoring versus constant. Having a monitor that you can carry around with you. Many hospitals still don't allow birth in any position other than on your back, which
Gosh,
is,
where were you 15 months ago?
girl. I say this as someone who, in my second birth, was still on my back because I'm learning along with you all.
Mm. Yeah.
But having the ability to have other people in the room other than a partner. Some hospitals still will say, you don't have a partner, you still can't have anybody in here. If you don't have a partner, oh well.
Oh,
Many hospitals don't allow doulas and partners, right?
no.
Like you might have your husband or wife, you might have your mother. You're not going to have, you can only have one person in the room working on that expectation. I have a doula, I want them there, right? That is part of the deal. Other common things like I want to wear my own clothing. I want to be able to take showers. These seem so mundane, but some hospitals may or may not allow you to do them. Something as small as playing music, changing the lighting, having your own blanket. Those are things that can really make a situation that much more comfortable, and then again the whole experience that much more positive. So yeah, writing these things down, everything from twinkly lights to I don't want Pitocin, I will not be induced. These things should be written down because you may not be able to. You might be 2 hours into pushing and you're handing off this, right? Or you might have nurses who are very aggressive in what you can and cannot do.
Yep,
And you
had
may
them.
not feel like you can say that.
I did have a birth plan going into it, and I had it on my phone, and then I told it to the nurse when we arrived, and she wrote it down. I don't know how much of that she actually wrote down in the system because questions came up with the, I don't know, 12 other nurses that I had after the fact. Yeah, it's amazing to me how many women show up at the hospital and don't have that, right?
Yeah,
And then when they start asking you all the questions, you feel overwhelmed because you don't know how to
absolutely.
respond to it.
And God bless mom, God bless best friend, God bless
Mhm.
whomever's in that room with you. That's, they're there for to be your person, but they
Yeah.
might have no idea. Kristen had a dear friend who was able to do an amazing job. She wasn't
Mhm.
going to know what to expect, or in the craziness of it all, to stop and slow down and say, Kristen, let's ask about this, or hey, that doesn't sound right. She's
Yeah.
seeing a part of her friend she never wanted to see, right? She's watching babies be born. It's wild. I think it also speaks to like the whole medical, the secretness that is pregnancy, right? We know,
Yeah.
like Monica on Friends having a baby. There's sort of this quick shout, we're on our back, there's one drop of sweat and it's over in like 6 minutes, right? And no
Uh,
one.
yes, which we're going to circle back to that 6 minutes part. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I can't tell you how many clients I've spoken to and said, like, what is your understanding of birth? And they will inevitably refer to something they've seen on TV or in a movie.
Mhm.
And I was that girl, right? I was that girl.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Because you don't
know.
know. You don't know
I
what
come
you don't
from
know.
right. I come from a massive family. I have dozens of cousins. I have seen, they've had many babies. I wasn't there. I've seen this whole process. You'd think someone would tell me that you can give birth on standing up, or someone would say, like, hey, they're not going to let you eat.
Yeah.
Like, somebody would say any of these things. So you don't know what you don't know. And then you
Mhm.
go in, and then the world cracks open, and you're going, holy shit, what do I do?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me. And then no one in the room is there for you. Everyone in the room is there for baby,
Right.
right? they need to keep you alive so baby comes out, but
Right.
they're not slowing down to say, Laura, are you okay? Am I meeting your plan? What are you thinking right now? It's wild. It's wild what we
Mhm.
don't know.
When it comes to doulas versus midwives, have you ever been asked like the difference between that? And if
A
so, can
little
you
bit.
sort of elaborate for the listeners what the difference is between the two?
Sure. Yeah. So a midwife is definitely a medical professional, right? They have degrees. For all intent and purposes, a doula does the same thing that a OB would do, but they have different certifications. They can't, do certain things like write prescriptions, or technically they can't have, there has to be a OB's name on the birth. But
Wait, a doula
um,
or a midwife?
for a midwife, sorry if I used the wrong term. Yeah, midwife would be this medical professional. But otherwise, as far as like the actual act of labor and delivery, a midwife's the same, as far as the support they can give. Now, kind of like a DO versus an MD, an osteopathic doctor tends to have that holistic look. They're paying attention to more than just the problem at hand. They may or may not offer up things that are not just a referral or a medication. I don't want to bucket all MDs, but that's kind of some of the differences there. A midwife tends to be a little bit more mother focused.
Okay.
They tend to be a little bit more open to some of these other interests as far as like labor positions, delaying the cord cutting. They might work with you on VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean. So you're going to find probably a midwife is a little bit more open to some of those, I guess you could say, non-traditional labor and delivery instances. But I would say if that's really important to you, definitely seek out a midwife. But they're going to be certified almost identically
Yeah.
as far as birth and prenatal care as a doctor would.
I want to say that I had a midwife break my water.
Down our way in rural Appalachia, it's hard to come across an OB. We
Yeah.
have we have more midwives. So our local rural hospital has a, a whole grouping of midwives who do both the prenatal care, and then they work at the hospital for labor and delivery. I can tell you, my nurse did 95% of the work, which nurses don't get enough. Shout out to the nurses. The midwife came in to catch baby, basically, and the OB leaned over the shoulder and then he didn't even say a word to me. My second baby was at a different hospital. They only had OBs in the delivery room. So I saw a midwife all through my prenatal, and then met the doctor there at delivery for that piece. I think it just depends.
Also, yes, shout out to nurses because they don't get enough credit. My doctor just straight up left the room at one point, and I was like, wait, I'm in the middle of pushing. What's happening here? What
Mm-hmm.
if I need her? And the nurse is like, I got this. I've been doing this a while.
Oh
But
yeah,
yes, nurses are saints when it comes to
they
the
are.
delivery. They are your rock, 100%.
I would say the nurses are probably the closest you get to a doula as far as their ability
Yeah.
to kind of be there and be sociable and kind of talk with you a little bit more, know your whole picture. But again, they're there for their job, and a doula's job is a different one. And yeah, every labor and delivery should have one. I don't remember who said it, but there's this quote that says that if a doula was a drug, it would be illegal not to have one. It just they should be in the room. They should be a part of every
Yeah.
birth.
Why haven't we gotten to that point though, where they are in the room with you? Like it's required that they be in the room with you.
I think there's a lot of reasons. One is understanding and knowledge. There's still a lot of people who don't know they exist. I think there's also some stigma around the idea. Not all states require like a formal licensure, even a certification or training, right? Anyone can say I'm a doula. I think there's valid validity to that too. There are many
Yeah.
people who have been a part of dozens of births within their family, and they're wildly experienced. And so do they necessarily have to go get a piece of paper that says so? But I think the other piece is that labor and delivery has become so medical. We've gotten so far away from the natural process of birth that having someone in the room who, in some ways, is diametrically against what they're doing, right? Like the doctor wants to say what's going to happen. The doctor wants you to take the medication or the IV or the whatever it might be as directed. The US is still the highest in cesarean sections in the country or in the world. Most hospitals, like here in West Virginia, I think induction is in the 90th percentile as far as how often it happens, not because it's medically necessary, but because it can be scheduled. They can plan on how many mothers are going to show up if they know you're going to be induced early, 37-week time frame. Having someone teaching mom that she can say, no, I don't think so, or tell me more. I think those things really play against the way that medicine has aligned pregnancy and birth. It's a shift away from doc knows all and patient just follows. I think there's a lot of pushback on that. It's not every birth. We can't, birth cannot be planned. It cannot be scheduled.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah, they
find a
come
way
when
to
they
do it on
want.
its own. Right? Yeah. I mean, you all, you might find similar when we're talking about, having children without a partner.
Mhm.
There's a lot of beliefs around that can, in many ways, probably keep people from going down that path. You kind of have to decide on your own, and you all creating a community for that really allows that to be a little bit more possible, right? Like, why can't anyone have a baby whenever they want, right?
Right. Yeah, why can't they?
It's expensive.
I mean,
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah.
gone to a bar.
you're right.
One thing that is wild and admirable to me, again, my situation was very different. A home birth was never, once I learned I was having twins, was like not, I'm too much of a planner. But Carolyn, you do a lot of home births. So
Mm,
what is the like process of deciding, like other than your personal preference, like how do you help with that situation? Like I don't, like logistically I don't know how people do it, so like this is my
right?
own curiosity more than anything, but would love to hear about
Mhm.
how you do that,
Yeah.
especially in rural America. Like I live in a city, so if
Mhm.
anything went wrong I'm still 5 minutes from a hospital.
I think that's what would concern me is that, and I know you're probably going to get into all of that, is the what if something goes wrong, right? My anxiety would be like, what if one thing goes wrong in that moment and I'm not close enough to help? Because you have what,
Sure.
2 to 3 minutes sometimes to get baby out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to every situation, right? There's gonna be emergency situations. I think the first and foremost is that you have a good medical team, and by medical team, you're gonna find a midwife. You're not gonna find an OB who's gonna do a home birth. They might exist, but to
It's
my
very
knowledge,
rare.
that's yeah. You're gonna have to find a midwife that is willing to do that, right? And again, we talked about it. The midwives can birth baby all on their own at home, no doc around. The decision to do it, it's kind of something that I would, most of the mothers know right up front. That's what they want to do. If that opportunity is no longer valid, we've figured that out along the way. You're almost never gonna find a mother with gestational diabetes or hypertension or any of these, whether it be chronic or whether it be part of pregnancy, they're not going to be giving birth at home.
Yeah.
These are things that
Too much
happen
risk.
along the way that a mother's probably, the midwife will not participate in because of the risks associated. If there's been history of other birth complications with other previous children, things like that are going to preclude you from having a home birth. With that said, a lot of pregnancies are not that. A lot of them are very much in line with sort of normal health needs and norms, keeping baby healthy. All of the testing is happening along the way. When it comes time for birth, right? It's the same except you're at home. I mean, your midwife will go on call about and so I do birth assisting for two midwives here in town. It's similar role, but I'm focused on, kind of think of me more as like a nurse, and I don't want to say that because I'm not an RN, I'm not a medical professional, but I'm more there to make sure that the midwife has what they need, setting up gear, things like that. We go on call 2 weeks before due date. We stay on call until baby arrives. They call us. They say, I'm having contractions, whatever it might be. You all probably did something similar, calling the hospital saying something's not right. All along the way, we've picked a place. They've picked a place. Most of them utilize a birthing pool, which is amazing. It's so cool to see a baby born in water. Um, but you just set it all up. You put down tarps. You have lots of extra towels.
You sterilize it all.
Yeah, I mean, you just, a non-medically complicated birth doesn't require a lot. But here's the upside, right? You're done. Well, first of all, you're laboring at home. You're not laboring in a place you don't know, full of people you don't know. That is that
Mhm.
awful color white that hospitals are. There's no beeping. There's no wires. There's no cervical checks unless you want them,
Oh gosh, yeah.
right? That constant monitoring with a machine, none of these things are absolutely necessary to ensure a healthy birth. You can have your children around, you can have your parents around, you can have your pets around, you can have whoever or no one around, right? Like, how cool would that have been if Hocus was there, Kristen? I mean, be fantastic. He would
My
have been
anxious,
amazing.
my anxious little ball of fluff. I don't know about that.
I mean, you just don't know, right? You just don't know. The ability to have your other children be there and experience your birth is great if that's important to you. I'll tell you this much, it's much quieter, it's much calmer because mom's at home and she's in her space. Many people will have tokens or religious icons, things like that around. They can kind of create their own little, I guess you could say like an altar or pictures, all of that sort of thing to make this space kind of exactly what they want. And after you've had baby, you get to go into your own bed with your own
Yeah.
pillow and your own sheets in your own room. It's again, it's very quiet. You might even give birth in your own bed. We move around the house. Babies are born sitting on toilets. Babies are born standing in the shower. Babies are, well, backwards on a toilet. Anyway, on the floor, on your hands and knees, wherever you want. Which sounds crazy, but our period of time where babies were born in the hospital is like this, and babies not born in the hospital is so much more. I am thoroughly amazed. The idea is exciting to me. The reality of it personally is terrifying. I actually just did a home birth with a mother for this is the second time. I wasn't there for her first child's birth, but her second and her third. And I mean, she just did amazing. She just did amazing. She didn't need any interventions because she was able to be in her own space, in her own comforts, and just kind of go for it. It's not for everybody. It is not medically safe for everybody. And if there is a complication, right, like the midwives have connections, EMS will come out, the hospitals can be made aware. Some midwives will kind of let the local hospitals know I have births due at this time. So there's ways to mitigate against that. I have never been to a birth where oxygen was needed or resuscitation was needed. I've been at births where mothers have hemorrhaged and it's manageable. There are things that can be done at home, IVs, um, Pitocin, all of those things can be done at home. So it's not as crazy as you might think, but it has to be for you. Some
Yeah.
people just don't want their sheets destroyed, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's just
my
part of the
mind
thing.
immediately is like, gross. I have to clean all my
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't, yeah, it's gross. There's
Yeah.
stuff. It
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, there is stuff. Yeah. It's funny. My friend's due in a few weeks, and when she listens to this, it'll be way after her little guy's here. But she's like, do I need to get like a hospital gown and bring it? And I was like, no, I delivered in the hospital gown that they give you because you're going to get that
Yeah,
thing so messy. You aren't even going to care. And she said, well, somebody said that it falls down. And I was like, at that point, I really didn't care. Everything was out anyway. So,
right?
like,
Yeah.
whatever.
But I'll tell you, if it makes her happy to have one that she got off somewhere and
Yeah,
it's cozy, comfortable, and it's yellow instead of blue, do it, girl. Do it.
true.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
But it's great advice too. Like, don't take all the things to the hospital. You're never going to want to bring it back. I didn't
I
think
threw
about
away my
that.
socks. I was like, nope, you can keep those. Don't want
Do
them
all the
anymore.
things.
It's going back to what you said before. I said we were going to circle back on this is they do teach you that you only push for 6 minutes. And then when somebody said, oh, it's like 2 hours, I'm like, wait, what? Like
Right?
an average is like 2 hours. Like, how do you push for that long? I went, I think, almost three. When I look back, it doesn't seem like it took that long, but I guess it did because somebody was timing it. But yeah, all the movies tell you, oh, you just one or two pushes and they're out. No, their head takes forever to come out.
We imagine pushing as like for three
Yes, which
hours,
I
right?
did wrong too. Yeah,
Right?
at first.
Like
Yeah,
what we, even the term of active labor, like you're always in, like as soon as your contractions start, but we talk about active labor as like ready to push. Like that's not, but
right.
even then, the waves of contractions, I mean, I was in the hospital with my first child for 18 hours. 18 hours. That's considered active labor. I was
Yeah.
not pushing. I was not bearing down, right, for 18 hours. Even that can be really confusing.
Mhm.
So in something you just mentioned, like you don't remember, I will say this: your body and your brain are made to forget. Your body literally, nature wants you to procreate. You forget things. You forget things more real. So don't be too hard on yourself if you can't
After
remember.
I had Weston, I was like, never again. I will never have another child because that was the worst experience ever. And then it took me a few
Right?
months. I was like, yeah, you know what? I could consider having another one. Your body does just forget that you went
There
through
are.
all of that hell.
Oh, and but these things will come back to you as you're like as you're baking number two, you're like, wait a
Cool.
second.
Yeah,
I forgot.
that
Oh,
happened.
yeah, that happened. But yeah, your brain is made to do that. Your body is made to make more. It's
I
just how it
know.
goes.
It's wild.
I was so nauseous my entire pregnancy, or like the heartburn, and I ended up with like a GERD cough, like tons of awful things.
Hmm.
And I don't think Tara actually ever ended up recording me talking about how miserable I am, but she's like, I'm going to remind you, if you ever decide to go to number three, about how you complained to me for 7 straight months about how awful you felt.
Right.
Like, and I financially could not afford a third. So like, there's a number of reasons for me why I'm not looking at three after twins. But like, she just the pregnancy experience alone, she was like, I know you'll forget because that's how women's bodies works, but I will be here to remind
You're
you.
right, right.
One of the other areas that Caroline was incredibly helpful for me again because my timeline was weird. She ended up flying out and staying
Oh
with
yeah.
me for a week after my kids came home from the
Oh,
NICU. So she was
yeah.
there when they were home, which was like invaluable. So again, that was maybe unique to our the flying thing was definitely unique to our situation, but like Caroline, if you want to talk to like your
Yeah.
job doesn't stop as soon as the baby's born. Like
Yeah.
it might, right, depending on the sort of the arrangement, if you will, you have with a mom. But like, talk about the support that you or a doula can provide, like once baby's here.
No, Caroline's
Totally.
the only doula that we're talking about here. Everybody hired Caroline.
Right. No, thank you, Kristen, for mentioning that. Both and I had so much fun. It really gave me the opportunity to still be a part of Kristen's birth, to meet the little ones. But yeah, I mean, a birth doula, postpartum doula, some do both. Postpartum doulas, in some regards, are even more needed because not only are at the hospital, at least there's people around when you go home. Right, one of the few things in this world that you're allowed to do, and you go home without a book or without help, and people are like, just raise this human, especially if you don't have a partner there at home or family close by. Postpartum doulas, again, really in that space of mental and emotional support, education, but a huge part of that often is lactation. So if mom wants to do breastfeeding, helping with issues with latch or with timing or production, using your pump, things like that. A lot of doulas, it varies, will do things like light housework. They'll help with laundry. They'll help making meals. Some will run errands. It really just depends on the services they provide. But really, acting as that extra set of hands. Overnight feeding, right? If mom needs to get some sleep, watching baby while mom can go out. These were huge things during COVID. Mom might have to go to an appointment. Having baby be able to stay home with someone that and can trust, and who knows how to take care of a newborn. Things like sleep training can be a part of that. And again, doulas can kind of, like, you could have a doula come in and help with potty training if you want, right? If they want to do help with that sort of thing. But for Kristen, it
I'm
was
gonna call you in a few
really,
months.
I did lots of dishes. I did lots of tidying up. Gosh, what else? I helped with baths. We did a couple baths.
Baby's
We
first
did a breast
baths at
milk
home.
bath, which was
I bet
epic.
you're
I loved it.
scary.
But like cleaning bottle parts, it's
Yeah.
insane the amount of waste that like, are dirty things. Just having someone there, especially with twins, holding one, holding the other.
Yeah.
Um, Kristen and
I
I
will say,
ventured out,
yes,
right? We got the
we went
babies
on
out of the
one like
house.
epic adventure that I do feel like we need to talk about. Um, People are going to judge me so hard for this, but
No way.
at
Let
five
them.
weeks, yeah, right. We brought the babies to Red Rocks, which is like Red Rocks
Yeah.
Amphitheater. Yeah. to see a comedy show. So we went and saw Trevor Noah. We were in like row three, like up close.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, yeah, my babies saw their first show at Red Rocks at 5 weeks old. They still were on oxygen, so Caroline and I each had a baby and
Oh
like were
yeah.
carrying an oxygen tank. So you guys feel like helped me get out of the house, right? They were not 5 days old; they were 5 weeks.
And
And
Kristen worked at the facility. So she worked at the amphitheater. We were able to take her to meet friends as well. And we had access to, first aid and things like that. But
Right.
yeah,
You were in a
so
safe environment.
yeah, very controlled given the circumstances. But like
Right.
going out and laughing for 3 hours was phenomenal. Like
Yes.
we had so much fun. And do you need to go to a comedy show at like a world-renowned venue? No, but she got me out of the house to just get like fresh air, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so yeah, that was
Yeah.
incredible.
Just
Yeah.
recognizing that it's possible, right? Like that you could still exist as a human. You could take baby out. I mean, that's a scary thing to do
Yes.
with a partner or with mom or someone around, is just like go to the grocery store. Like, what do I need?
Right.
How do I hold baby in a cart and all of those things. So yeah, testing out some of those daily tasks with support, is a great way to utilize a doula.
I feel like
Help
that
with
was
that.
the one thing that I look back on and I regret not doing more of was just getting out of the house quite a bit. And my anxiety got the best of me. So either
Mm,
I went out without him after a certain period of time and left him with my family, or I just didn't go out at all. And it took me a really long time to take Weston just to the grocery store. The anxiety of taking him, well, what if
sure.
he cries? And what if he, fusses or I need to pump or whatever? So I had to like schedule everything around those windows. And then I'm like, okay, we have 20 minutes to like rush to the grocery store and get back
Yeah.
before you like have a meltdown. And yeah, so then I just didn't do a lot. But it would have been nice to have somebody pushing me, being like, no, you can do it. And here's how you can do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And again, a preference thing, but
Yeah.
for Kristen, I knew being out and about would be something that would be really helpful for her.
Hmm.
And of course, socializing babies is always a great thing, and doing it in a safe way. So, and come on, Trevor Noah. I mean, Trevor Noah. It was amazing. It was a
Exactly.
fantastic show.
It was so
It was
good.
great. It was
We bought
fun having
tickets
a
like an hour before. Like it was not a
right,
planned
right.
thing.
Have babies attached to us, having a couple of beers, just relaxing, and
Great.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It was fantastic for me to be able to see the Kristen that I know that is still there. It just has two small
As a
humans
mom. Yeah.
inside, but well, outside at that point. But just to be able to be herself and have fun and do it as a
Right.
mom was really fun. I have some really great pictures, and yes, she's smiling big. She laughed a lot. So
Oh, he
it
needed
was
that.
yes,
Hmm.
it was a good time. I also, Kristen and I had a lot of folks asking about our babies together,
Yep.
which I was happy to claim the babies as well. So, but yeah, like congrats you two, and I'm like
You're like, thanks.
her
Yeah.
babies. But yeah, it
When
was a
does
lot of fun.
a postpartum doula time frame sort of end? Because you mentioned it could be for a while, but what does that look
Well,
like?
yeah, I would say on average, maybe in the first month or less.
Oh,
It
not the
really
first 15
depends.
years? Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It really, gosh, if that was the case and I could afford it, then
Right.
you're pushing into, I guess, nanny status. I don't know,
That's
but
true. Yeah.
yeah, I would say 2 to 4 weeks is probably pretty common.
Okay.
Helping get settled into the house through those early baby appointments, lactation. But yeah, the term doula is pretty broad. There are death doulas, right? There are grief doulas. There are different types out there that do the same thing for different situations. I think that that first month is really when you're going to find the postpartum doulas around. It's just making sure mom gets settled, helping with didn't mention this, but other kids. Doulas are a great help with educating older siblings or getting them used to having a new baby in the house. So yeah, it can be pretty broad as far as what a doula will or will not do.
Can they help with dogs in that introduction?
If they're interested, absolutely. I
Yeah.
would certainly help with that. But yeah, yeah, they can. Totally on topic, off topic. A lot of doulas I know will do placenta encapsulation, or they'll do placenta ceremonies as far as like burying one. I think the cooking of placentas for those who choose to eat is something that they do on their own. I don't know. But yes, doula encapsulation in little pills is something a lot of placenta encapsulation. Do not eat your doula. Please do not eat your doula.
I think we just found the title of this episode.
Do not
Please
eat
don't eat your doula.
Oh my gosh, my mom brain's kicking in. I wish I could say it's late in the day, but anyway.
Do
Not
you
going.
have do you have a recommendation for somebody who makes breast milk jewelry?
A recommendation, like as a
Yeah.
company that does them.
Yeah,
So this is new to me. I just recently found out that you can both there are companies that make it and you can get like at home kits. And
I
I
have the
actually
time for that,
asked for
but
that
yeah.
for Christmas from my partner because I couldn't breastfeed my
Oh,
first baby and I could with my
yeah.
son. So I don't not off the top of my head, but I can send you some links, girl, if that's what you
Please
want.
do, because I have
Yeah.
frozen breast milk and I've been like, maybe I should just make that into some sort of jewelry,
Yeah.
that I could
I think
wear
they
and be
look
like,
pretty.
I did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
proud
That's
of
on my
that.
list of things to do. So that's a good reminder because I do still have a little bit of breast milk.
Yeah,
But
see?
I
Yeah.
the
mean,
list
why
just keeps
not?
growing, guys. It's just so
It
long.
that
It is
look,
so long. Where's the doula for that? My to-do
Right?
list.
right? Not this one. Not this one.
Actually, their name is Sage House, and we have an episode with their house management. Yes.
Awesome.
I need
Mm-hmm.
house
Yeah, I
manager.
mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yes.
what. There are tons of it's like findmydoula.net. A lot of big hospital systems will have lists of doulas. They're
Yeah.
pretty easy to find and they're all over the place. So, if that's something that a listener is interested in, Google where you are, Google doula. If you can't find it, I'm happy to help. But find out, figure it out. Get one if you can.
How do
Some states will
you,
pay for it,
I
so
was
some
just gonna
insurance
say,
companies will.
one, what's the cost of these? But I guess the question before that would be if you arrive at the hospital and you don't have a support person and you want to ask for somebody, how do you advocate for them in asking for a doula and knowing what a doula's support looks like so that they can have somebody there with them through that process? Because they don't always, it's not somebody you always have to hire. They do offer them at hospitals.
Yes, larger hospital systems will have doulas. Generally, if you're getting your healthcare through that hospital, whether an outpatient clinic or they're at the hospital, so you're going to hear about those things beforehand. If for some reason you're getting there, whatever it might be that you've not been aware or you don't have someone to be your support person, yeah, if they have them on hand, they'll certainly provide you with them. In this part of the country that is not the case when it comes to so I will support a mother at the last minute if I am physically able to be there with them. As far as like cost goes, it really varies. You get into Chicago, you're gonna find doulas are like 1,800, 2 grand for like a birth doula. It might come with a couple of appointments beforehand, preparation.
Is that
Down this way,
hourly? Like, is that you
no.
get so many hours, like 8 hours, and then they charge
So
you for like the next 8 hours?
when it comes to labor and delivery, it's usually a flat fee
Okay.
where you're going to find, say, 1 to 3 prenatal appointments. So that might be talking through your desires, working through a birth plan, whatever it might be. And then that's going to include the labor and delivery time frame, whether it's 6 hours, whether it's 24 hours, right?
Yeah, my doula would have
Um,
hated me. She'd be like, 51 hours, we're still
right?
here.
Right? No, it's usually you're going to find that as like a package set.
Right.
Postpartum is definitely going to come hourly. And again, that can vary and it can vary too on what you want,
Yeah,
right? If you're wanting someone to stay overnight and help with
it's
overnight
more
feeds, they're
expensive.
probably going to cost more. If you're wanting someone to come more often than not, if you want them there kind of on call, you might find that they cost more money. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of insurance companies that do pay.
They don't pay for
Some
shit.
employers are getting there.
Yeah.
Some HSAs will let you use doulas. Use those funds for doulas. There are opportunities. So things that I offer up to my clients, right? I'm not very expensive. This is something I do at the moment as more of a passion. So I try my very best to sort of cover myself, but not overly charge. But you can put a doula on your birth registry.
Oh yeah, you can. Say like raising the cost for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you can have people can help pay that way. Some states, fantastically, their Medicaid programming has will pay for a doula. Not here in West Virginia. We're working on the legislature to get that happening.
I always say to Kristen, I'm in Pennsylvania. We're old school. It'll
Right?
be 50 years before we get anything.
I'll tell you what, doulas are far cheaper than cesarean sections, and doulas prevent cesarean sections more than anything else.
Oh, wow. I
Just
didn't know
saying.
that.
It
Also, I'm just
literally,
learning that cesarean sections are expensive. Maybe I should have not asked them to cut my baby out of me at one point. I
well,
still delivered
Wait,
vaginally, just so we're clear. Yeah, we haven't gotten into my whole birth story, but
I
we
know.
will. Anyway,
how did you not know
But
they were expensive? Mine was, I got an
didn't.
emergency C-section tacked
mm,
onto mine too because it wasn't the day that it was scheduled. So that
Oh,
alone was 15 grand. But my C-section alone, like the surgery, nothing, we'll get into the NICU bill another day, but my C-section and hospital stay alone was almost $65,000. Yeah.
why? Why?
US
because they
healthcare.
can,
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can. Right, exactly.
because they can.
I think we
Um,
need a whole episode about costs of fertility, infertility,
you should.
delivery.
The cost of childbirth is a whole other fun thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to kind of round out the cost of a doula, right? There are many doulas who will do GoFundMe's, and then they'll raise money just generally that they'll be able to say 2 or 3 births a year that they'll be able to just cover for a
Oh,
mother.
that's sweet.
There's yeah, it's I've seen it more in more urban areas, but they're giving Tuesdays, like that sort of thing. They'll just raise funds, and if a mother comes along that really needs support, the doula is able to cover half of it or all of it or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's definitely a hurdle because it's not as recognized, that
Yeah.
insurance don't cover it. It's silly, like I said. The cost of a doula is far less than many of the complications that come from childbirth, but because it's not as regulated, insurance companies tend to not go there. States tend to not have policies. So advocate for a doula bill.
Put a bunch of
Medicaid, state
women in charge of
insurance.
this country and things would look a lot different.
I mean, listen to her.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Is there anything else, Caroline, that we have not talked about that you would like to make sure that we cover in this episode? We're also going to bring you back in the future for other conversations, but
OMG. Well,
you're a
I
regular
said it,
now.
right? Everybody deserves a doula. Everybody should have a doula. I think even if a pregnant person chooses not to, they should at least look into what they provide. And in the world of virtual everything, even if a doula can't be there at birth, planning ahead, having someone on hand. I will also say, if cost is prohibitive, access is prohibitive, um, PSI International, tons and tons and tons and tons of free resources. They have message boards and message groups for every type of pregnancy. Single moms, having babies, IUI, all of those things, like Spanish speaking, child loss, miscarriage, second babies, twins. They have groups for everybody. And everyone on there is another mother just like you. It's a peer that is ready to talk and support. So if nothing else, if you cannot afford a doula, you cannot find a doula, you don't want someone there at your birth, PSI International, completely free. Sign up, find a group that works for you, talk your heart out. Do not have birth unsupported. Do not have birth unsupported.
Yeah.
Husband, wife, friend, mother, have someone that is there just for you. If I can give you nothing else. And if you can't find anything else or PSI, I will support you in whatever way that I can.
She will be
Resources,
there.
go, I will help you however I can because my goal is to never have a mother unsupported in another birth. I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt. I don't want anyone to feel the way you felt. I don't want anyone to feel the way Kristen felt.
Yeah.
And that's what you all are doing here, right? This is the whole point of the podcast. Is to help others, and that is my goal. I'm gonna this is the hill that I have chosen to die on. So meet me at the top.
One fun question to sort of end this with is choosing chaos is obviously the name of this podcast.
Yeah.
What in terms of delivery would you say is choosing chaos? What does that mean to you?
Choosing I mean, I think just deciding to have babies or just the whole experience, right? But choosing chaos, I think it's just leaning in and trusting yourself. leaning in and trusting yourself, knowing that your body knows what it's doing, that you are capable of what you're about to do, is terrifyingly chaotic, but you can do it, and you will do it, and you will find all of the energy and support in yourself, right? You always can find more, but you can do it. That's what I want you to know. Bob the Builder, you could do it. I think Obama used that. We can do it, whatever it is. But yeah, the chaos is that you can do it, no matter how chaotic it feels. So
I always have to say what Miss Rachel says is, you can do hard things.
yes, Miss Rachel.
I'm like, I can do hard things today. You're teaching me too.
Yes, you can. And you know what? Walk around and say, I did a hard thing. I had a baby. I
know, right?
I want a badge for that.
Yeah.
I want people to give me
I
free
want
things.
a push present. Come on. Where's my
Guys,
push present?
it's not even that we had kids. We're raising toddlers.
I mean,
Yeah.
truth. That is
Gold medal for
wholeheartedly
my
true
toddler.
too.
Thank you so much for your time,
Yeah.
Caroline.
Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me be a part of your community for just a
Of
minute.
course.
Thanks for having my BFF Kristen on.
Yes.
Epic single mom. And
She's a regular now too. She's a co-host permanently.
Love it. Love it.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
All of your listeners, amazing people, amazing mamas. Keep being amazing and get a doula.
Yes, get a doula. Yes. I will say a postpartum doula is also key too. I had a postpartum newborn care specialist, but in the mornings, I found that was the hardest time for me, was in the mornings, because I had to track my blood pressure and then walk the dog, feed the baby, pump, all the things, try to find time to feed myself, drink my coffee, which I usually never drank. It was a lot. It was very overwhelming. And so having somebody there in the morning was really helpful to reduce my anxiety and stress.
Good for you. Yeah. Good for you for getting that help and leaning into it.
Thank
you. That's the whole point.
Thank you so much. It was so nice
Thank
to meet you. And you will be back.
I'll do my best.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
As we wrap on today's episode, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Caroline from Pathfinder Birth Works for taking the time to help us to better understand the powerful role a doula plays in supporting mom. From advocating for themselves during pregnancy and birth to finding the right support in the moments that matter the most. Your insight into this chapter of motherhood and the steady guidance and support you offer families means so much. And a special thank you to Kristen for introducing us to Caroline and connecting us to Pathfinder Birth Works. We are so grateful for the way that this community brings the right people together at the exact right time. Before you go, thank you for being here and sharing this space with us. If choosing chaos has become even a small part of your journey, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss more stories of courage, choice, connection, and chaos. The hilarious realities of motherhood. Speaking of chaos, we are deep in the molar phase over here, and it's a very trying time for me as a mama. We want our babies to be happy and healthy all of the time, and watching them go through the pain of teething is so difficult. It breaks my heart. I'm learning that sometimes the very best thing and the only things that we can do at times are simply offer comfort, love, and all of the cuddles. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, and YouTube. Join the conversation, share your story, connect with other moms, and help us to continue building this community. Thank you for trusting us with your hopes and your hearts, and for embracing both the beauty and the chaos alongside us all. We will see you next time on Choosing Chaos.